Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to Authentic Social Media Marketing with George Kao. My name is Colin Megan, and I'm a program manager at the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center. And for those of you who may not know, the Nasdaq Center is a nonprofit dedicated to enabling entrepreneurs from all over the world to realize their maximum potentials and grow. As you may have just seen in the chat, the Nasdaq Center, along with our partner Mentor Club, launched a free mentor matching platform for entrepreneurs called Mentor Makers. You can create your own advisory board to guide and inspire you with in-the-moment mentorship from topic experts and professionals dedicated to providing exceptional mentorship to entrepreneurs across all races, industries, and geographies. So find or become a mentor today by using the link in the chat. Mentorship matters to all entrepreneurs. Their success is dependent on it. Now, none of what we do here at the center could be possible without all of the amazing support from our sponsors, including Nasdaq, Lehigh University, Bank of the West, KPMG, Wilson Sonsini, Woodruff Sawyer, and VPN. We're humbled by their contributions. Quick housekeeping item, we're going to open up for live Q&A at the end of the event, so please submit your questions in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen throughout the presentation. During these still unique times, we're curious on how sentiment is among the entrepreneurs that we work with. So I'm going to start off by just launching a quick poll. Just let us know how you're feeling about your business right now. Q4, here we are. The end of the year is near. So let us know how you're doing. All right, thank you for your responses. Hello from New York. Hello from London. Hello from Toronto. All right, everybody, welcome, welcome. I'm going to end this poll and share those quick results. So optimism's on the rise, but totally understand there's a little bit of anxiety, fear, and just survival mode out there. Hopefully our presentation today will help you with those sentiments. So without any further delay, please join me in giving a warm welcome back to our stage, our special guest, George Kao. He's a business coach, social media marketing expert. George, welcome. So happy to have you back. Over to you.
Colin, thank you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate bringing me back here. And I thank you all for joining. I really am grateful and honored by your attendance. I know there's a lot of other things you could be doing right now. And hopefully with the time that we spend together, it'll help make your future social media efforts more enjoyable, more effective. And if that happens, then hopefully this is worth your time. So I am always open to your questions and comments. So as you watch this, please go ahead and let me know if anything I'm saying is helpful. Just a few words typed below, it's great. Or if you have any questions. Now, I'm not going to be able to address all the questions, especially this is thankfully Nasdaq is doing this, widely available to everyone. So I can't answer all the questions later, but certainly will do my best in this presentation. And if there is something later that I could answer very quickly, I will try to. All right. So I also want to invite Colin, Cody, anybody from the Nasdaq team, if you want to interrupt me anytime with any relevant question based on what I'm saying, please feel free to do that. So at this point, I want to also ask you a couple of questions. And Cody, you have the polls that I have put up there. The first one, let's do the first one about the social media platform. So I want everyone to vote who is live with me here on which of the social media, thinking about getting your ideal clients and ideal customers. I want you to pick, actually, you know what? It's set up as a single choice, which is fine. I want you to pick one of the best ones that you see on the list. And if there's something else you don't see on the list, go ahead and comment below. And I'm just going to name out the ones I'm seeing here on the list: Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Reddit, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, or other. So which one are you most interested to learn and to use for your business? Go ahead and let us know. All right, results. Okay, very good to see the results here. For some reason, LinkedIn didn't make it, right? That's really weird. It's okay. I know
There's
a lot of
LinkedIn's in the chat too.
Yeah, a lot of LinkedIn in the chat, a lot of LinkedIn. But those, the ones on the poll, Instagram is the top result, and by far actually, and then Facebook being a relatively close second, and way behind the pack. YouTube is third, and then Twitter, TikTok, a little bit of Pinterest, and other, of course, LinkedIn, lots of LinkedIn interest. Okay, very good to know. All right, just one more question for you all. And it's based on what we're going to talk about today. So Cody, you'll launch the second poll about which of the 3 topics. I mean, you joined this webinar having seen 3 topics being advertised, the description of this. So I'd be really curious which of the 3 interest you, or something else. Yeah. So which of the 3 interest you the most? How to use social media so that it's less draining, how to sell your services on social media without seeming salesy and sleazy, or how to differentiate your personal versus professional presence on social media, or something else. So go ahead and vote, and love to see what you come up with. All right, so winner by far, how to sell your services and products on social media without seeming salesy or sleazy. And then and behind the pack, 2 are somewhat close, which is using social media so it's less draining and differentiating personal versus professional presence. And I'm sure there are other questions as well. So let's get into the one that was most voted first. Yeah? Okay. So how do we use social media to get sales for our business, for our products and services, without seeming salesy or sleazy? So the first thing that you need to understand is that social media is social media, right? It's where people, instead of, reading, watching CNN or Fox or some other MSNBC or whatever media source, people go on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn to find news or updates of interest to them from their network, from their friends, colleagues, peers, people that they like. Otherwise, they wouldn't still be following them, including, of course, brands and companies that they like, right? So, in other words, you got to think about the sort of mindset of the person who is looking at your post. They're not going on social media and saying, gosh, I'm itching to buy something right now. But let me go on Instagram to see what I can buy. They probably don't do that. They would maybe go to Amazon or go to Google to find some product that they're looking for. However, of course, if they're researching a product, they might go on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn to do a search for the product or company to see if anyone else has anything to say from their network. But they're going on social media generally to relax, to have fun, to distract themselves, right? So having that in mind, how can you make your sales message more fun, more entertaining, and something that is a worthwhile use of their distraction time? This is really a question for you to ask yourself, do some journaling. If you have any responses, by the way, if you have any thoughts below, even just a few words, whatever comes to you, go ahead and chat below. If you have a team, you can have that conversation. How do we make our sales messages more fun, more entertaining, more better use of someone's distraction time? Now, it doesn't always mean that you have to be happy-go-lucky. It has to be funny, or has to be like entertaining in the way that you think entertainment might be. But it's something that basically is not too hard to consume. It's easy for them to scroll, to keep reading, or to watch something that's easy to consume, something that's not too complicated. I think generally speaking, that's a good advice for any kind of sales message, right? Something that's not too complicated, something easy for them to understand and consume. So one thing I do want to kind of remind you all is that posts that sell a product or service almost always get fewer likes and comments than other types of posts. So if you might be saying, George, why, if I'm posting my product or service, social media, I don't get any love, but when I post about my lunch, when I post about my vacation, when I post about my cat, or when I post about a career update, or post about some news that's going on, then people engage and comment. But when I post about my service or product, nobody comments, nobody likes it. That's normal. Why is that normal? Because they're not going there going, gosh, how can I spend $1,000? How can I spend $50? I don't know, whatever your product service costs. How do I spend that money? Let me go on Instagram and find something to buy right now. That's not what they're thinking. However, you still need to get the word out because they're scrolling and they're like, oh, okay, Colin is selling that service. Okay, good to know. Or they're like, oh, Colin's selling that service. I like Colin, and that's actually something I've been thinking about. So let me look at this further. It's not what they were intending to do, but it happens to be what they were thinking about. And so they give you the privilege, you get the privilege of their attention for them to look further into whatever it is that you're selling. And if you're lucky, you might get a like, you might get a comment, or you might get none, but they simply click through to your website and they're now engaging with you. You're there. So just know that it's normal not to get likes and comments, but you still need to sell. You still need, otherwise, how will they hear about it? Right? You still need to, whether it's posting something or running an ad, you still need to do it on social media because that's where everybody's attention is. And whenever I hear people say, oh, I'm boycotting Facebook, boycotting fill in the blank social media, I'm like, good luck. That movement is never going to take off because social media is not going to endorse that movement, right? You see, so the whole boycott Facebook movement, it makes me laugh because I'm like, fine, you can leave Facebook, but you're essentially deplatforming yourself and your brand. You want to do that? Yeah, Facebook is unethical. Facebook is blah, 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 political, whatever. You have all the opinions. You can have all your opinions you want, but just express that on Facebook, please. Because otherwise, how will you change the world? How will you make an impact? If you leave, if all the good people, I'm on a bit of a rant here, but I think this is important because we're talking about social media. If you leave Facebook or Twitter or fill in the blank thing you don't love and thing you are unethical and disagree with, then everybody else is still going to be there. You've just deplatformed yourself, and you're not going to be able to share your opinions on why that platform is unethical or how it could be made more ethical, right? Facebook, no, it's not 100% evil. It's probably not even 70% evil. Maybe it's 55% evil. I don't know. But the thing is, Facebook has also done an unspeakable amount of good. Would you not agree? Has not Facebook done an unspeakable amount of good for individuals, families, companies, brands, and the politicians you happen to agree with, and the social movements you happen to agree with? Of course it has. The nonprofits you happen to agree with, of course it has done unspeakable amounts of good. When Facebook went down, when as conspiracy theorists say, Mark Zuckerberg took Facebook down for 18 hours a couple of weeks ago, tons of small businesses like ours were like freaking out because we lost sales that day, or we lost leads that day, or we lost connection that day. And we're like, oh my God, however much we hate Facebook, we still rely on it for a lot of reasons. Now, I know, yes, monopoly is not a good thing. We should have more competitors. I agree. And yet, of course, whenever there is a competitor, you still need, Donald Trump still needed Twitter to announce the fact that he's starting a social media platform, right? Or Facebook or whatever. So it's like everybody's attention is there. I don't care how much you're going to hate on Facebook or Instagram or WhatsApp or whatever you want to hate on. Everyone is still going to be there. So the question is, are you going to deplatform yourself or not? Anyway, so that's my little rant on the social media thing. All right. So since everyone's attention is going to be there, you still need to sell there, right? All right. So here is the thing about selling without seeming salesy or sleazy. Let me ask you a question. When you have been thinking about a problem, okay, think about a problem you have in your life that bothers you. Or think about a goal that you're really eager to accomplish, to achieve, and you're looking for help achieving that goal. Now, when you go to Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or TikTok, and you're just, getting entertained by whatever, and you happen to see a post that is speaking to you about that problem that you've been bothered by, that you're trying, like, I wish this were different in my life or in my work or in fill in the blank. I wish this were different. I wish that I could figure this out. When you see a post about it, Doesn't that get your attention? Of course it does. Especially if that post is coming from a brand or a person that you like, that you trust, that you respect. Think about some influencer that you admire, that you respect. If they were talking, you happen to scroll past an ad of theirs, an advertisement of theirs that's speaking to the problem you've been thinking about, doesn't that go, whoa, I wonder what they have to say about that. I wonder what this company is offering regarding this, because I have been thinking about this issue. I wasn't coming here for that issue, but it actually is getting my attention now. So in other words, turn this around now to your audience. Your true fans appreciate seeing your offers if it's a right fit for them. I'll say that again. Your true fans, the people who like and trust you, right, appreciate seeing your offers, your products or your services that fits where they're at right now, the problem that they want to solve or the goal they want to achieve. Does that make sense? So even though they didn't come to social media expecting it, if they like you and you're selling something that they actually want, of course, they're glad to know about it. Now, they might not buy it right away, but this is where advertising several times comes into the picture. You can't expect someone. Now, sometimes they buy it right away, but usually they're like, oh, okay, good to know that that company or that person is offering that. Great. Now, 3 days later, 5 days later, they're surfing Facebook again. Like, oh yeah, that's right. That's right. I saw that last time, and maybe I'll look into it now. You see what I mean? Because now it's, now I happen to have time to look into it. So the more aligned your offer is to the wants of your true fans, the more welcome your offer will be and the less sleazy or salesy it's going to be. Now, what this also means, I should say, and I'm going to put a couple of links into the chat, okay? Those of you watching this later, you'll have the links below. The notes of the video will have the links. So, okay, when you have something, when you have a product or service that the audience wants, number one, there is product market fit, right? Hopefully you've heard about that by now. If you haven't heard about that, go online and search product market fit. If there's product market fit, if I'm selling you something that you want, because you've been thinking about the problem or you've been thinking about the goal, right? If I'm selling you something you want, number one. And number two, you like me and you trust me, then do I have to yell at you? Do I have to try to persuade you? Do I have to try to trick you into buying? Do I have to try to hypnotize or charm you? Do I have to try to, get you to say, buy now, or you're going to lose out on this and this and this? Of course, all those things can work because we're human beings and we can be manipulated. And of course, a lot of marketing that you might see out there is quite manipulative. I don't like it, which is why you came to this webinar. Hopefully you don't like that either. We're talking about authentic marketing. If you look into my blog posts and things, you'll know I talk about this all the time. There's basically manipulative marketing and there's authentic marketing. Unfortunately, much of mainstream marketing is manipulative, especially online. But the people and the companies who have created product market fit, they've got something that's just really good for the people that they're reaching. The people want it, right? Want it. Why do I keep saying want and not need? Because as an entrepreneur, you think your product is like the best thing in the world. And you think everybody needs my product, or not whether it's everybody or a specific type of person or company needs my product. Yeah, you think they need it, but they might not want it because they don't understand your product or service as well as you do. And you think you understand what they need. Sure, you might, but it's more important for you to understand what they want and to shape your marketing based on what they want. Okay, so if you've got a product or service they want, right? Because they've been thinking about the problem, they've been thinking about the goal, you know what they're thinking about because you did market research. You had the conversations to find out what they're thinking about, what's keeping them up at night. You may have heard that before. basically what they're bothered by right now. What's the thing they would love a solution for if they saw it? Okay, whether it's a problem or a goal or an experience that they want, right? So you'll say, what about George? What about a cruise? A cruise. I don't know, people still do cruises these days after the pandemic, but a cruise is not a problem or a goal. It's an experience. So it's either problem, goal, or an experience. Anyway, so if you know what they want and they like you, then of course they're open to buying it from you. So in my view, authentic marketing view, manipulative view, you can make people buy stuff, right? You can make people buy stuff using scarcity tricks, persuasion tactics, persuasion psychology. If you believe in all that stuff, go turn off this webinar now and go and read books and look at websites about persuasion psychology and lizard brain marketing. You can go all day long, you can manipulate people to do stuff for you. That's fine. Politicians do that sometimes. And what I consider to be short-term marketers do that. Then they get us to do stuff, and then sometimes we regret it. We have buyer's remorse because they were so charming, they were so persuasive. We bought into it, and we're like, it's not the right fit for me, or they promised something that they couldn't deliver. Happens all the time with manipulative marketing. With authentic marketing, we're not trying to manipulate people. Hopefully not. What we're trying to do is find the product market fit. Like I said, it's all about product market fit, number one. And number two, is we build trust before we expect that they'll buy. It's very similar to friendships. And I always say authentic marketing is the act of growing friends at scale. Authentic marketing is growing friendships at scale, right? If somebody you don't know comes up to you and go, hey, I want you to go to an event with me. And they're going to try to persuade you to go to some event with them. You're like, okay, you don't even know what I want. You don't even know what kind of event I like. And you're trying to persuade me to go somewhere with you. No, thanks. Unless they're really persuasive. They're really beautiful, right? And they go, yeah, maybe I'll go along, right? Manipulative marketing. Authentic marketing is like, you got a friend that you already trust. They've proven their worth to you. They've proven their value to you over time. Okay. And then there's like, hey, I know that you like this type of event, right? You want to come with me? You're like, yeah, I like you. I like this type of event. Of course I'll go. You see what I mean? When I say event, it could be a product, service, or event. So the key with social media, authentic social media marketing, is you're using content over time to bring value to your audience. Content could be blog posts, articles, entertaining videos, not entertaining videos, but educational videos. But it's content, basically written content or video content or podcast content or images on Instagram, right? Okay. You use content to build like and trust over time so that when you come out with your and then of course, once you have an audience, you do market research with them to find out what they want. And then you create or frame, maybe you already have your product, right? George, sorry, we already spent years building our product. Fine. You do market research to find out what it is that they're thinking about right now. And then you frame your marketing. You frame your marketing around what they're thinking about so that when you offer to people who already like you, of course, they're going to consider it. You now have the privilege of their attention. Okay. So essentially, if people aren't buying and you feel like you have to make people buy, you don't have a warm audience. You're trying to get strangers to go to some event with you. You're trying to get strangers to go somewhere with you. They're strangers. They don't trust you. Why should they go anywhere with you? That means you got to be persuasive. You got to be charming. You got to be beautiful. You got to be blah, blah, blah. Sure, you could do those things. To me, that's exhausting because I don't want to make someone do something that they don't trust me for. So it takes patience. So you either have to be manipulative, okay, and really good at that. That'll get you short-term results. Or you're patient and you're authentic and you're consistent and you add value. And guess what? Some of you are like, I need sales today. George, you stop talking about this. I need sales now. Okay, fine. But I don't want to be manipulative, but I need sales now. Okay, fine. Then you go to your existing network. All of us already have an audience that's warm. It's called your friends, maybe your families or some family members, your colleagues, your classmates, your coworkers, people you've met and kept in touch with. Your warm, everybody has it. Your 200 Facebook friends, your 500 LinkedIn contacts, Some of them are not that warm anymore. But your warm audience, you already have them. Go to them. And they could hopefully introduce you to, or share your stuff with people who have their trust. Now you have second degree trust, right? Go to your first degree contacts. They'll bring you to their first degree contacts. And now you have second degree trust. It's not as warm, but hopefully you'll get some sales and your initial clients and customers that way, which then gives you some breathing space to build a larger warm audience with social media marketing, who then trust you enough to next time you make your offer, they're like, oh, I'm open to considering it. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so when you have offer alignment, when you have product market fit, and when you have people who trust you, all you need to do is to whisper and they'll buy or they'll sign up. So I'll show you on my screen an example. Most of my, I sell online courses, and most of my online courses are sold with a text-only Facebook post. No images, nothing fancy, very authentic. I'm just writing what I think I know, understand that they want. This is what I have. Want to sign up? That's it. So let me go and show you my screen here and just give you an example. Or I could actually just even, well, yeah, let me show you my screen. Real quick. Okay, here we go. So this was a free webinar, but I was selling the recording of it. Actually, funny thing is, this is actually part one. You're watching part two right now of that webinar, but this was part one. But anyway, I was very honest. It's been a while since I've hosted a free webinar. I'm excited about this, blah, blah, blah. I've designed it. Do you see? I'm just very like casual about it. It's like I'm writing to a friend or a friend of a friend. I always imagine writing to a friend of a friend. Like if a friend of mine were to send an email forward my email onto one of their friends, how would I write? Okay, so that's, it's very, very common. And then I have the sign up page. By the way, that's no longer available because that event's passed. Will there be recording? Yes, there will be. If you attend live, fill the feedback form. If you can't attend live, you can buy it later, that kind of thing. Which, by the way, I want to recommend to you all as a wonderful model for a webinar. Instead of offering a free webinar, except this one, Nasdaq is extremely generous, but instead of offering everybody who wants to get clients or get customers, whatever you're selling, webinars are a fun way of doing it or a good way of doing it. Instead of just offering a free webinar and say, sign up. If you can't attend, you'll get the recording, no problem. Okay, afterwards, do it this way. Sign up, you can attend live for free. And if you attend live for free and fill the feedback form, you get the recording and any notes. If you cannot attend live, you can buy the recording later for some nominal fee, $20, $30, $50, depending on what your industry is. So in other words, you're creating a webinar that is of real value that you would be proud of having people buy it later. So it's not the whole thing is a sales webinar. Maybe 10% if it is selling something, but 90% of it is actually giving value, building more trust. Make sense? So anyway, if you end up following me on social media, you'll see that I sell everything I do in a very kind of like casual way, oftentimes without images. If it sells initially, has a nice sales initially, then I'll go through the trouble of creating an image or creating more images or more things to sell it to an even bigger audience. But my initial sales, my pre-launch or early bird sales are all done with text only. No big deal. So this is how you can sell on social media without being salesy. You understand that it's not about trying to be persuasive, charming, hypnotic, manipulative, having some tricks and tips to get people to grab their attention and to move them through the funnel and all that forceful, manipulative crap that I see out there. Come on, people. You're human beings. We're human beings here. You don't like being treated that way, do you? I don't think you do. If you knew someone was trying to manipulate you, would you go, oh, great, please manipulate me through your sales funnel? Yay. No, especially if it's some brand that you respect, like, come on, don't do this to me. I already like you. You just tell me honestly what you have, and I will tell you honestly whether I want it or not. Let's be honest about it with each other. Can we do that, please? Right? And let's have fun along the way. You don't have to try to manipulate me. Just have fun telling me what you got, and I'll have fun telling you yes or no. Okay, so product market fit, building like. Okay, so So the last thing I'll say about this whole topic is this. It's perfectly fine, again, to sell on social media as long as it's not what you're doing all the time. Just like, have you ever had a friend or an acquaintance, every time you see them, they're selling you something? Maybe they're part of a direct sales company or they're trying to sell you this or that all the time. Or a family member, every time you see your aunt, your uncle, your niece, or nephew, they're always trying to sell you something. Is that someone you want to you're eager to go see, right? You're probably you see them coming this way, you cross the street, you pretend you didn't see them, right? No, right? You don't want that. You don't want any brand doing that to you either. So 80-20, the 80-20 rule is a good rule. 80% content, you're adding value, whether it's educational content, inspirational content, entertainment. Okay, you're 80% of the time you're adding value. And then 20% of the time, you do need this. 20% of the time, you're humbly offering them what you're selling right now, knowing that you've done the market research to find product market fit. So you have a good guess that this is probably what they want. But you don't know, you're humbly offering. You're not trying to make them do anything. You're not trying to make them buy. Take that language out, please. Stop trying to make people buy. Just like you don't want someone to make you buy. You see what I mean, right? You're humbly offering. You're humbly inviting them. It's kind of like a friend. You're humbly inviting them to a party. Now, with a friend, you can be excited. When I say humbly, I don't mean that you can't have good energy, like big energy around it. Of course you can. It's a launch. But you're detached from the outcome. If a friend says, sorry, I'm not interested in your party because of whatever reason, I can't do it right now, I can't afford it right now, I don't like the theme of your party, are you going to say, you're not my friend anymore? Now, if they keep saying that time after time, you might say, you're not my friend anymore. In other words, you're saying, you're really not part of my ideal audience anymore, right? You could say that. But generally, it's like, oh, don't worry, because I'm going to have another party next month, right? And I'll offer it again to you then. So 80-20 rule, right? And in your content, please separate your content from your selling. And I have a bit of a 3-minute rant. I'm going to post it in the link below. 3-minute rant. If you don't mind a bit of swearing from me, watch the 3-minute rant later about separating your content from your selling. So 80% content, 20% selling, and you'll do great. And remember to keep doing your market research. I always continue doing market research. I'm always talking to my audience, trying to have one-on-one conversations or focus group conversations, or polling my audience to say what they would like. So let me pause right now. I've been talking a mile a minute, and there are still 2 topics that you signed up for that didn't get voted as well. But I want to just pause and see if Colin or Cody, either of you want to chime in with any questions that are relevant you think that I should cover first before I move on.
There's some pretty good questions, but you're rolling, so we'll get to them at the end.
Keep going?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Okay, so let's now talk about it's something that bothers a lot of people is the whole professional personal differentiation on social media. And then I'll end with a few minutes about using social media so it's less draining. But hopefully by this point, you're already kind of seeing how it might work, and hopefully you'll use it with more enjoyment going forward. So how do we differentiate our personal versus professional presence on social media? So here's what I think about it. I think, number one, I never post on social media what I wouldn't want to be shared publicly. They say, hey, if you want to print it in the front page of New York Times, don't post it on social media, even if it's to friends only. So you'll see, I used to post, now I know some of you might disagree with me on this. I don't post anything political anymore. I used to, and then I kind of laid off it because I realized 2 things. One, some of my most ideal customers and clients don't agree with me politically, but I still want their business. And that's actually, I think, the beauty of commerce and business. It can bring together people of different political spectrums and hopefully create more understanding and a more harmonious world, rather than people always hating on each other. You're evil because you're on the right, or you're evil because you're on the left, whatever. Okay, whatever. So I no longer post about political stuff. I only post about things now that I wouldn't mind people saying, did you know that George Kao posted this in a private group? Screenshot, whatever. Okay. So I think that's important. It's never fun getting canceled. Although some of you probably have fun getting canceled. I don't know. Different people have different thoughts on that. So if you don't mind, if you like getting canceled, if that's somehow like energizing to you, then go ahead, post about politics and whatever controversial issues you want. The other thing is you will notice that I never share about my personal or family life. So I'm going to go ahead and post a link below to my Facebook personal profile. And I don't post about, well, unless I'm like learning some kind of like, I'm learning some spiritual lesson from my cat or my dog or something like that. Because I mean, part of the whole spiritual, lesson thing is part of my personal brand. So I do post about that sometimes. But again, I wouldn't mind that being shared publicly. But yeah, I just don't post about my personal stuff. So, okay. Now, so in your personal social media stuff, I would say that I personally think you should just focus on private messaging, private messaging with your friends, your family about personal stuff. And if you have a significant event, like obviously, if you're getting married or divorced, or if you've gone some significant transformation in your life that you want to share about, obviously career is totally fine. I think it's okay to post about that stuff on social media. Or if you have a cause that you really believe in, you don't mind being public about that, and even years from now, then you can go ahead and put it on social media, right? So when it comes to professional stuff, right? Now, here's the thing. In terms of the platforms, it's all melding together. Even on LinkedIn, people post about personal things. Really, it's fine. I could post, really, it's okay for you to post about your significant personal events in your life on LinkedIn, because guess what? The personal and the professional have melded together for many years now. Don't be so strict about that. But it's just, again, only post personal things that you don't mind being posted on the front page of New York Times. Like, I don't mind people knowing that I got married, I got divorced, I got blah, 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 whatever, fine. Or I had a grandchild, I'm proud of my nephew, whatever it is, it's fine. Okay. So LinkedIn, be professional, be personal in a limited way. And Facebook, okay, when it comes to Facebook, understand that you have your personal profile, which you can also post professional things. Again, everything's melded together these days, right? Your personal profile on Facebook, where you have your friends and family and your old classmates and everything, you can occasionally post about your offers, your professional things. It's okay. You're proud of it. You don't mind your Aunt Sally knowing about your professional product or service, right? It's okay. Now she might send you people that are irrelevant as clients, but it's okay. It's okay for her to know about it, right? But some of your friends. But Facebook has what's called a business page or a professional or fan page, right? And that's where I am active most of the time, on my business page, because for your Facebook business page, which is where you can run ads and get likes on your page, and where you can run ads, basically, that's where I post most of the time. That's what I focus on, and that's what I recommend that you do as well. On your business fan page on Facebook, that's where you focus on. Now, Instagram is also, again, a mix of personal and professional. It's okay. People are vulnerable all the time on Instagram about the things they're going through, mental health issues. It's a little bit tricky there, because again, you have to think about it. Am I willing to post about my depression, my anxiety, fill in the blank? Will I regret that 10 years from now? These days, it's much more okay, right? It's much more okay. People are much more open talking about mental health issues. Everyone has some depression, some anxiety, some whatever. Okay. So I think it's okay to a certain extent, just thinking about this, like, okay, my audience 10 years from now, my potential employers, business partners, employees, the media, is it okay for them to know that 10 years ago I had this issue, or that I had this cause that I believed in? People get canceled all the time for something they posted when they were 14, all the time. Their careers are thrown in, So just know that. Think about 10 years, 30 years from now. I know it's hard to look forward, but that's why I'm very careful. about the kinds of personal things that I post. So, all right. So that's the personal professional thing. Again, we can have questions later, but let me now address the final topic, which is how do we make it less draining, okay, on social media? Number one thing is you've got to turn off your phone notifications or your computer notifications. How many of you, you don't have to raise your hand. Well, you can raise your hand because I can't see you. How many of you still get pinged when something happens on social media? Whether it's a comment, someone liked your Instagram post, come on, do you need to get pinged about that? It might give you some quick sense of self-esteem, right? But you don't need to get it pinged on it. You could check on it, every 5 minutes instead of every minute. Right? I know you check every 5 minutes. Come on. No, but you don't need to check every minute. You don't need to get pinged when you're in the middle of something. Okay. So please go and figure out how to turn off I don't have any notifications. In fact, my phone is even on do not disturb 24/7. It's because of my phone, my Pixel phone. I get so many spam calls and I can't turn it off. So that's why my phone is literally, I'm so glad I did this. My phone is on do not disturb the whole time, 24/7. It never goes off do not disturb, never goes off do not disturb. That's actually the fastest way, to be honest. Put your phone on do not disturb mode and never turn that off. George, what about phone calls? Well, hopefully your phone is smart enough to have a do not disturb exceptions for like really urgent notifications, like the call from your mother or from your spouse or from your business partner or from your top employee that you need to be in touch with all the time. Hopefully your phone has that exceptions for those people, but otherwise you should be on do not disturb, I think, all the time. Talk about less draining. My God, you'll have a new life. You have a new life. You're like, oh my God, I didn't know I can get so much done. Right? Okay, that's really the thing. Second thing about draining on social media is boundaries. This is where I have this thing about people leaving Facebook or Instagram. You don't need to leave social media, people. You just need to learn how to have better boundaries with it. Come on. It's like just because you're problem with boundaries, you think Facebook and Instagram are evil because I'm scrolling it all the time. No, it's not them, it's you. Right? So you need to understand a couple things about boundaries. One, phone, do not disturb, right? And desktop notifications turn off. Okay. But number two, you are not expected to respond at whatever rate they want you to respond. By the way, I don't even get notifications for my Facebook private messages or my Instagram direct messages. I just simply check a couple times a day. I'm used to checking. But I don't have notifications come through for any direct messages or private messages or email. Anyway, so number one, notifications off. Number two, you don't need to respond at the pace they want you to. You only respond when you can. George, what about having good customer service? Hopefully, you have somebody else in your business whose responsibility to respond within 5 minutes, or set up an autoresponder and say, thank you so much for your inquiry, and we will be in touch. We respond to messages twice a day, and we really look forward to being in touch with you. Some nice auto response like that. It's fine. And because once you realize that really the people, the customers and clients and the investors and whatever who really are into your thing, they only need to hear from you at the end of the day or the next day. Really. Don't be afraid to lose the people who are not going to buy or not going to invest or not going to sign up because you didn't respond in 1 hour. It's ridiculous. You can't, unless that's your job. I'm a self-employed person. I have no other person in my business. I do everything. I do the toilet cleaning as well as the keynote speaking. And I still ignore people who say, I'm George, not signing up. You didn't respond in an hour. Good. Goodbye. Bye. I have other people that are fine of signing up if I get back to them tomorrow. It's fine. It's fine. So, and the last thing I'll say about draining, about not getting sucked in with time blindness, look that up, time blindness. Those of you, especially who have ADHD, which a lot of entrepreneurs do, so probably a lot of you are ADHD on that spectrum and not even realize it, you need to research time blindness, okay? The thing about social media is that it's designed to keep you time blind. So before you use social media, I want you to try this out, okay? 2 things I want you to do. 1, set a timer. Get used to it. Practice this after this webinar. Before I go on Facebook or Instagram or fill in the blank, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter next time, before I do that, just quickly, it takes you 3 seconds to find the timer on your phone. 1, 2, 3, timer, got a timer here. Or use your, hey Google, hey Siri, whatever, timer for 5 minutes. That's it. That's all I gotta do. Timer. And number 2, be clear, speak. I am going on social media to respond to private messages. Like, just be clear about what you're doing. I'm responding to my Facebook private message. I'm responding to my Instagram DMs. I'm going on social media to make a post. Just be clear about it. Timer, clarity by vocalizing it if it's not weird to the people around you, or write it down, and then go use it. And then when the timer goes off, this is part 3. When the timer goes off, stand up, turn around. Yeah, that's it, really. When the timer goes off, you stand up and you turn around, and you will have broken the time blindness and the hypnotic trance that they put you into. So I'm going to stop here. As you can see, I'm passionate about this stuff. I can talk about this for 8 hours straight, but Colin, I'm going to let you come in at this point.
Awesome. Thank you so much, George. Everyone's really, really appreciating all of this. Before we jump into Q&A, as you guys think of your questions, and we'll try to get to as many as possible, just let us know what's keeping you up at night. You asked for social media, and that's why this is here. So let us know what you want in the future. So hopefully we'll be able to host those in the coming months ahead of the end of the year. But I don't want to waste any moments, so I'm going to end this poll, share those results. Thank you all for sharing. Looks like sales and marketing, which is where we're at today. So thank you all for that. I'm going to jump into this Q&A, and we'll try to be as quick as possible. So George, to start us off, is posting every day or lack of posting every day a good thing?
Okay, great. Generally, the more often you post, the better it is for your audience building. Obviously, you have to balance that with self-care, right? And the quality of your posts. So the way I like to think about it is the 3 stages of content creation. And I'm going to try to pull up my blog post about that. Okay, so yeah, I've got my blog post pulled up. I will put it into the chat. And 3 stages of content creation basically means I do welcome you to I encourage you to post as often as you can, knowing that whatever is going to get traction will get traction even if it's not well polished. But then when you see something get traction, now you put in more effort the next time to edit it, to make it better, and to repost it. And that's how you get the quality. You get the quality from quantity. So generally speaking, Instagram, once a day max, I think is fine. Stories can be posted more often. Facebook, once a day or a couple times a week, totally fine, not too often. LinkedIn, a couple times a week is generally a good maximum rule. I mean, if you want to post every day, that's okay too. But just know that I'll give you a minimum. I mean, if you're not even posting, wherever you are on social media, the minimum is once a month. I mean, if you're like, it's like, I want to touch social media 15 minutes a month, then once a month, you got to post something. All right. Now, the next minimum is once a week. If you could post something once a week, that's a respectable minimum. It's like, okay, this company, they're busy, but at least they keep in touch once a week, or once every 2 weeks is fine too. And then for people who are like really actively audience building, try to do it, 3 to 5 times a week if you can. So there you go.
Great advice. Question around how much as an advertiser do you add value CTR, which is click-through rate?
Okay, that's completely dependent on industry and your product market fit and your audience trust in you. So here's what I'm saying. I never give people, you have to have this, click-through rate, or this, engagement rate, or this open rate, or whatever rate. That's kind of silly, because it's so many factors. Depend. Small audience has naturally a higher click-through rate than a large audience. I mean, there's so many factors here. So here's what I recommend you do. Keep a track of your running averages per quarter. Really, that's it. Keep a track. You have to have a spreadsheet, okay? And track, or when you're running ads, usually the social media platform like Facebook Ads Manager, they already have all the metrics for you, so you don't have to keep a spreadsheet. But just notice the averages per quarter and go, are we doing better or are we doing worse? And the ones that did better, what was the offer? What was the post? What was the content? And can we duplicate that kind of thing? So there you go.
Love that. How do you approach TikTok for business?
I don't. Next question.
All right. Is Snapchat still a thing?
I don't. Next question.
All right. Let's see. How do you offer free webinars for free people live and charge for others? I've tried that, but don't know how to keep track of who attended and who didn't.
Oh, okay. No, it's very simple. The model is basically, and I actually have a YouTube video about this. So let me find it and I will put it below. But basically, the webinar is the model that I explained earlier. The webinar is free to attend, and they only get the recording and notes if they fill out the feedback form. So like at the end of the webinar, you send them like a Google form or whatever. You make sure it collects their email address and their name and whatever else you want to ask them. One of the questions in your feedback form can be, are you interested in talking with us further about our services? Sure, why not? Why wouldn't you ask that? You also ask, of course, how, what was the favorite thing from the webinar? What's one thing we can improve? That kind of stuff. And the people who fill it out within 24 hours, you give them the rule, fill out within 24 hours and you'll get the recording and the notes. And so that's what you do. You notice the people who fill it out, and then 24 hours later, you get their emails and you send out the recording and notes. And then once the recording and notes are ready, you put it as a product on your website to sell. So people come to your website and go, oh, buy this webinar for $30 and you'll learn blah, 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 like that. So there you go.
Awesome. Can you talk about how polling an audience on Facebook or how to poll an audience on Facebook since polling is not native?
Webinar method. I'm just putting in the chat below a YouTube video, 23 minutes about kind of this webinar method. So polling on Facebook, I keep it real simple because Facebook polls only work well in Facebook groups, within Facebook groups, which is not usually where I poll on my Facebook business page. So how do I do it? Simplest. I ask the question on a Facebook post, text only post. You can make it an image if you want to, but I ask the question and I say, please see the options below and like your options below. So I post a question and I immediately, actually the thing about Facebook Creator Studio is you can actually schedule the post for like in the future, and you can even comment on your own future post. Now it's really cool. And so once it's published, it gets published along with the comments that you already put there. It's a weird thing. So you put the post up, you put the options, one as each comment. Now try not to have more than 5 options. So again, each option is a separate comment. So I do this all the time with what should I sell you next? Essentially, I'm like, which course should I teach next? Right? Because courses are my product. You could do it for, hey, we're selling this item. Which color do you like best? And you have like 5 color options below. And then they'll say, and the people vote on green or red or blue or whatever. So
I love that. That's great advice and a cool hack. How true is it that videos are the best way to get attention currently on social media?
Say it again.
How true is it that videos are the best way to get attention on social media?
Well, of course, multimedia tends to get more attention than text only. But I have found that if the message is the right fit, doesn't matter if it's just words people will want to read. So in fact, when I build my audience on Facebook using Facebook ads, almost all of my ads to cool audiences, people who don't know me yet, I run text only posts as ads because I don't want, see, here's the thing about Facebook ads. If you run videos as Facebook ads, even if somebody watches 3 seconds of your video and hates you and wants nothing to do with you, or at least they're not interested, guess what? They've now been roped in as an engager on Facebook and your warm audience, and you have to keep spending money running ads to them if you're running ads to warm engagers, warm people. So it's kind of silly to me when I see ads on Facebook that are video. I'm like, okay, even if I don't like you, now you have to spend money on me. So that's why I use text-only posts for Facebook ads. So they click continue reading, then I want to run more ads to them. So
love that. Question from Larry: do you use a scheduler, and what do you use?
Acuity scheduling.
What was that again?
Acuity scheduling. Yeah, all one word. It's been bought out by Squarespace. So
awesome. LinkedIn group or LinkedIn business page, or both?
Yeah, LinkedIn groups used to be a thing because we used to be able to send emails to our LinkedIn group members. No longer a thing. It's quite hard now. People have to go on LinkedIn and like read the stuff. I think LinkedIn business page running ads on LinkedIn is going to get much better traction.
Awesome. And what are some thoughtful gestures that those visiting our social pages appreciate your opinion? You need a little
You don't need thoughtful gestures. You just need good content.
bit
Next.
of that. Um, Thank you for your strategies. Do you think it's worth advertising to build followers on Instagram and or Facebook?
Oh, of course. I do that. Well, I don't, okay. I don't run the ads that get more likes, because what's happening is Facebook and Instagram are sending the ad to people who just, I don't know, some people, millions of people, for whatever reason, all day long, they just scroll Facebook liking the ads and stuff. It's kind of strange to me. I mean, not strange, sorry. Maybe they're retirees or they just have a lot of time on their hands. So I don't think it's a good audience when you're running like ads. I think it's a better audience to run brand ads for your content. That's what I do on Facebook ads and Instagram. I use the brand objective, and I run it with content, like straight up content that's helpful to my ideal audience. That's how I do it.
Love that. Okay, we'll get one more question in, but
would
love to end on a key takeaway. But so last question is, how long should a video post be?
As short as you can communicate something useful.
Love that. Well, George, thank you so much for sharing your insights on authentic social media marketing. I personally took a lot away from this. Nobody ever goes online to spend money. So great strategy shared. What's one takeaway for our audience here and online today that you'd love to share with them?
It's better to be consistent and authentic than to try to be instantly impressive.
What a way to end it. Thank you so much, George. And thank you all for joining us. We hope to see you all on our upcoming webinars. We've got some great content coming up for you. So we look forward to seeing you on the next ones. Have a good one, everybody, and we'll see you next time.